Oh, here we go.
Battles on into turn 7, and here comes Augusto Farfus over the curbs here, Calvin. And he was getting closer and closer. Now he's within half a car length, close enough to strike.
Yeah, when you elect to take that middle of the road down into the brake zone, you know you're in trouble because suddenly you can't enter the corner as quick. You got more steering input through the apex, and you're now going to be vulnerable coming off.
Into turn 12, another defensive line here. I think for the 33, smelling blood in the water with that defensive move. And again, picking the middle of the road, make that Mercedes AMG as wide as possible for Mikael Grenier.
It's going to be a long 20 minutes or so in this stint to keep Farfus back there, I think.
They continue to lose heaps of time to the overall leader, Dries Vanthoor, as well. Let's check the gap this time by at 16.2 seconds. So it has stabilized a little bit, but certainly the advantage to the 31 at this stage in the race. Grenier, the Canadian, Farfus, the veteran from Brazil, who has found victory here at Indianapolis in the past, but he's also suffered heartbreak. Go back 1 year's time, and looked like he was in firm control of the race when coming together with lap traffic had a big impact.
This is Liddy.
Yeah.
That's through turn 13. Not sure if he got contact there right front. Looks to have some damage. I'm not sure if he went to the inside of a car through the apex of that corner and just went straight on with no steering working for him.
There's another set of tire tracks in the grass there. I'm not sure if that was from that incident or a different one earlier in the day. But we'll have to piece those puzzle pieces together here in a little while and figure out what exactly happened. It would be odd for that wheel to have that issue unless it was a curb strike or something, but that would have to be a pretty big hit, Calvin, with how robust these cars are.
Yeah, for sure.
And the left front, too.
Well, I think he's just trying to keep it in a straight line. Maybe if one corner is broken, you're just trying to steer into it. It's trying to send you in a different direction. But interesting here, when you think about the dynamic, we're only in hour 3 of this race, and you got a car behind you. Let's take a look at the replay here, see what develops. It's got barged into there a little bit, and I'm not sure if the contact was right. I thought that the front wheels were not in full alignment there, so I'm not sure with that little hit. Just if you got the car turning left, suddenly that wheel is outside of the fender. You take a bump like that, can easily break a tie rod, a track arm through that situation.
Wow, what a moment there too with the traffic. Kenny Hobble, the leader in Pro-Am, getting used up a little bit as the Ferrari comes through, and also the Flying Lizard BMW now has Nick Yellowly driving. That car was stuck in the gravel, which brought out the first full course yellow, so they're well down the order, but some fast drivers in those cars that Kenny had to contend with.
Yeah, he only took the off-ramp there, didn't he? Trying to avoid all that calamity in the chicane, just went to cut that. You are allowed to cut that as long as you don't gain time. If you're avoiding an incident, Calvin, that's an escape route you can take, but you can't gain time or make a pass over there.
No, I'm actually going to enjoy this little battle here with Yellowly and Vilander. I mean, both cars really not in the mix today, but they're going to go out and have some fun, I think, here this afternoon.
Say that about Vilander, but actually, he's 4th at the moment in class. They're having a pretty decent day. Jay Schreiben did a good job. Now, I'm not sure if he's got some more driving to do, and that could put them on the back foot a little bit. But that said, Vilander has that car in the mix.
Battle continues for second place. This has not found resolution yet. And Grenier changing lanes a couple of times. That borders, Calvin, that's a little close.
Bit of a double move there. And just trying to get back to that, I tried to touch on, then we had the moment with the Corvette. I mean, when you're in this position, you know, how much time are you compromising? I mean, you're losing more time to the leader by compromising your line as much as Mikael Grenier is having to do to keep Farfus behind him. You're obviously risking getting hit at the same time. Are you better to let the BMW go, just settle in behind him and try and maximize your lap time and keep the gap as tight to the leader as you can, even if you're moving from P2 to P3?
Most used button in the race cars right now are the headlight flashers. 130 flashing the headlights at the 75, and Farfus flashing to distract Grenier. But talk to drivers about the efficacy of that distraction tactic. It's not very much, but it makes you feel better in the car.
Sure. An outlet for the frustration, if nothing else. The 64 of Liddy, by the way, remains in the pits, and this is important. That is a car eligible for North American Pro-Am points because Brian Sellers has done the full season in that car. Report is it's now gone behind the wall as well. So that's the target for Samantha Tan and Neil Verhagen. That's a position they could gain that would give them a little boost in the championship.
Yeah. The only difference maker is if they get to 50%, the only difference is being in the top 5. Because if they get to 50%, the 29 has to win. And then if they win, the 38 has to be in the top 5. So that's where they need to move up to once they tick the box of doing 50% of this race.
Right now, the 29 would score second place points, having been passed, Rothberg having been passed by Sepinen 20 minutes or so ago. But we expect that could swing back the other way. Battle for second and third heating up, and now with a real opportunity, here comes Augusto Farfus in the blue BMW, middle of the road, able to sweep in front of Mikael Grenier and take the spot. He still has to contend with the Pro-Am leader, Kenny Hobble, but both front runners managed to do so, and after nearly an hour's work, Augusto Farfus finally is through.
That was nice. Then he wanted to get a wiggle on. You could see him hustling the car there to try and break away from Grenier, not give him the opportunity to make a move back.
The incident again between the 32 and 64, and the drive-through penalty assessed to that 32 Porsche. He's just trying to track out into the 64, and that's what caused that contact, Ryan.
Yeah, that's Scoofin again behind the wheel, and that pretty much is a nail in the coffin of his hopes for the Intercontinental GT Challenge driver's crown. Too many setbacks already, 2 of them in the first not even 3 hours, and GMG having a day to forget, unfortunately.
He was good right until the point he just let the car wash out and get into the side of the Corvette right at the exit of turn 13. I think everything else was legit. And I'm not sure if he thought he was clear or whatever, whether the Corvette would just give it up a little bit more, but unfortunate. But it certainly ruined the 64 car's day.
Dries Vanthoor firmly in control, 18.3 seconds the advantage, but now he's got his teammate chasing, and we'll get to finally see what the real pace potential is of the number 33 of Augusto Farfus, now that he's clear of Mikael Grenier in his Mercedes. Not sure how much Dries will push with this big advantage at this stage, but he's got a healthy lead. And this car here, the 33, that started dead last, 23rd on the grid after an engine change, finds itself now running second overall. What a comeback.
Yeah, amazing. So WRT, we expect them to be strong. Reiterating their week, got the cars late and had the engine issue, but right now in control of this race. Let's not forget the 33 car still has to serve that 5-second time hold on their next pit stop, so that will drop Farfus a little bit, or company further behind the 31 machine, but still in really great shape.
That is true for Grenier in the 130 then. The goal would be to stay within 5 seconds, and effectively you get that spot back without having to fight for it, as long as you execute your pit stop.
Just really impressive by Team WRT to once again bring their cars right to the top step of this. We've already talked so much about how much talent is here in the field here this weekend, and you know, cars from all over the world, drivers from all over the world, from IndyCar and from other sports car championships. So Calvin, for these 2 teams from Team WRT to be on the top step again, it just goes to show the strength relative to the rest of the field.
Yeah, I think the strength of the team, the organization, certainly BMW's quick here defending race winners, and then the strength of the driver lineup. They don't have any, weak link. I mean, all of those drivers are superb, will run the car to 100% of its performance. So that's why over the course of the race, you just keep grinding these times out, and that builds the gaps.
More on the 64. Let's head down to Amanda Busick in the pit lane.
Yeah, I hate to say we're behind the pit wall here in the garage for the 64 DXDT Corvette. The front end is off of this Corvette. I do see tires coming out and going back on the Corvette, so I don't know if that is good news, but they are assessing a suspension damage from that contact that was on track. Driver is still in car. I did see Brian Sellers running around. He was delivering some water bottles, making sure that these drivers are staying hydrated. I'm not sure how much we've talked about the heat here in Indianapolis, but we are pushing temperatures of 81, 82 degrees, just very unseasonable. I do think that some of these drivers are catching this by surprise as well.
That's been one of the things we've been following this week, Calvin, is it's just been a nicer week than it has been in years past. This has been a very cool event in the past couple of years. So the temperatures in the air are up inside the car. It gets very hot. So we talked about driver comfort. keeping cool is one of those things. And some of these cars have AC or some variant of ducting to keep the drivers cool, but it's not always enough to keep the drivers comfortable.
No, it's going to be a big battle for some of these drivers. We expect to see, for example, Skier and maybe Heinrich do triples. Some of the other drivers and teams are electing to do singles or doubles. So, yeah, you start doing a triple in these conditions. Isn't easy, but these boys are so fair. I mean, they just work out in all types of conditions to make sure they are able to get the job done.